Good afternoon. The BC and Yukon branch of the Royal Lifesaving Society Canada is proud to welcome you to its 110th annual Commonwealth Honour and Rescue Awards ceremony. My name is Norma Wick, and it's my pleasure to be your MC for today's ceremony. Being that we are on a virtual platform today, I wish to begin by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of the lands that we are all on, and I recognize that I am here today on the traditional territory of the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam nations. Today's ceremony will recognize and honor the invaluable contributions of society volunteers who are dedicated to preventing water-related fatalities, and those citizens who have performed significant acts of bravery and courage to save a life in an aquatic environment. It is now my pleasure to introduce distinguished guests to represent the BC and Yukon branch of the Lifesaving Society. I invite the branch president, Ms. Anita Chevalier, to bring greetings.
Thank you, Norma. Fellow members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to begin by acknowledging that I am on the traditional ancestral territory of the Squamish Nation, Tsleil-Waututh Nation, and Musqueam Nation. We recognize and respect them as nations in this territory, as well as their historic connection to the lands and waters around us since time immemorial. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I welcome you all as we celebrate the 110th Annual Commonwealth Honour and Rescue Awards ceremony. The past year has been one for rebuilding and the reopening of aquatic services for many cities and facilities across BC and the Yukon. There has been a resurgence of advanced aquatic recertification courses, while full certification courses, swim lessons, and water safety education seem to be in an all-time high demand. The beginning of this year also marks the swim transition as the Red Cross recognizes the Lifesaving Society as an aquatic leader and endorses us to continue the provision of swim lessons across the country to ensure Canadians have continued access and success in learning to swim. As an established program across the nation, the Swim for Life program will be a seamless transition for all as the Red Cross narrows their focus on humanitarian aid. Today's Honour and Rescue Awards are an opportunity to celebrate the contribution of volunteers who have put in countless hours to keep others safe and informed, and who contribute to the success of society programs including the Swim to Survive program, National Drowning Prevention Week, and provision of life-saving and swim programs. It is also an opportunity for us to recognize the selfless and courageous acts of people who risked their personal safety to aid others struggling in the water. As the Rescue Awards are presented, you will hear these stories reminding us of the vigilance required to keep people safe around any body of water, whether it is a pool, river, lake, or ocean. The Lifesaving Society is a strong organization with deep roots. With the continued effort by people like those we celebrate today, we will continue to be the voice of drowning prevention and education in BC and the Yukon. Thank you all for joining us today and for your continued support to the Society and its efforts to reduce drowning and water-related injuries.
Thank you, Anita. And just before we present the Honour Awards, please welcome Branch Governor Nicole Liddell.
Thank you, Norma, and good afternoon to all of our participants and guests. As Branch Governor, it's my pleasure to welcome you in joining us today as we celebrate the generous gift of time provided by our volunteer leaders, as well as applauding the heroic efforts of the brave citizens who have supported the Lifesaving Society's mandate by saving a life from drowning in the past year. While the number of water-related deaths in BC and Yukon has shown a decreasing trend in the past several years, our work is not done until we can contribute to the national goal of a Canada free from drowning. Internationally, in 2021, the United Nations and World Health Organization declared July 25th as Annual World Drowning Prevention Day, also providing us with a higher order objective of safety around the water globally. In addition to more than 26,000 participants in Lifesaving Society courses within the BC and Yukon branch last year, the branch continues to support our affiliated pools and waterfronts in the provision of grants to run Swim to Survive days, as well as providing funding to new and existing junior lifeguard clubs. Our responsibility for water safety was further amplified this year when the Canadian Red Cross decided to pass the torch of swimming lesson provider to the Lifesaving Society Canada. With the help of our affiliates, volunteers, and staff, we look forward to successfully completing that transition over the next year. Unfortunately, the reduced availability of pool space over the past 2 years has not only decreased access to swimming lessons, but also reduced the number of courses available to train new and aspiring lifeguards and instructors, causing a serious shortage of aquatic staff across the nation. We must do everything possible to ensure that this unfortunate series of events does not contribute to more water-related incidents. We can, however, think very positively about the contribution of those that we celebrate today, whose unwavering support of the Lifesaving Society's mission will continue to keep our citizens safe around the water. Thank you for attending this afternoon, and please join us in advocating for water safety and swimming lesson access for all.
Thank you, Nicole. We will now present honor awards to recognize the dedicated volunteer commitment provided to assist the Society in meeting its mandate of safety on the water. The first honor award to be presented today is the Certificate of Thanks, awarded to those volunteers who have contributed a minimum of 2 years of volunteer service to the Society. Scott Riley will now provide you with a background for our 7 recipients of this award.
Leah has been a dedicated and active member of the Program Advisory Group for the past 2 years and has contributed many volunteer hours towards the provision of pool and waterfront safety audits. Andrea has been a volunteer safety auditor as well as volunteering at various events such as Swim to Survive Days and the 2017 World Conference on Drowning Prevention hosted in Vancouver. Megan has been a dedicated and active member of the Program Advisory Group for the past 2 years and also became a national trainer 3 years ago, representing the Lifesaving Society in the Kootenay region of BC. David has provided insightful input as a member of the Program Advisory Group for the past 2 years. He also recently received an affiliate award for teaching the most first aid candidates in the branch through 2021. Elizabeth has been a dedicated and active member of the Program Advisory Group for the past 2 years and also became a national trainer 3 years ago, representing the Lifesaving Society in the Thompson-Okanagan region of BC. Bethany has been a contributing and productive member of the Program Advisory Group for the past 2 years and has been a mentor for many new instructors in the Prince George area. Karen has been a dedicated and active member of the Program Advisory Group for the past 2 years. She also became a national trainer 3 years ago, representing the Lifesaving Society in the Yukon region of the branch.
The final branch award is an annual opportunity for the branch president to recognize a volunteer who has shown exceptional commitment to the Society over time, and specifically within the past year. This year's recipient of the president's plaque is Denise Yoreff.
Denise comes to us from Ontario, where she volunteered as a member of several committees, including Life-Saving Sport and Junior Lifeguard Clubs. Now representing the Lifesaving Society as a strong national trainer on Vancouver Island, she has also recently stepped into the role of chair of Aquatic Safety Management Advisory Group and has performed many safety audits as a volunteer. Denise also brings great experience and knowledge to the current branch priority of providing the Swim for Life swim lesson program and is a valuable resource in many ways. Certainly a very deserving recipient of this year's President's Plaque.
Congratulations to all of those loyal volunteers who have received awards today, and to the others who have continued their support of the Lifesaving Society's work through a difficult year. And now, just prior to presenting our rescue awards, we are very pleased to welcome Her Honor Janet Austin, Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, to bring greetings.
Hello, dear friends. I'm Janet Austin, Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia. As honorary patron of the BC and Yukon branch of the Lifesaving Society, it's my very great pleasure to welcome you to the 110th Annual Commonwealth Awards for Honor and Rescue, and to commend all those receiving rescue awards today. Your courageous service in aquatic emergencies does you much credit and reflects the values and the skills taught by the Lifesaving Society. Please accept my heartfelt thanks for your dedication and professionalism and for all the risks you assume, often in the most challenging of circumstances, to care for your fellow citizens in their hour of greatest need. I'd also like to recognize the volunteers being celebrated today with honor awards. Your commitment to water safety education, teaching such valuable skills as first aid, swim to survive, and lifeguarding helps to ensure that we can all enjoy our lakes, pools, and waterways safely and without incident. As the representative of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Canada, and on behalf of all British Columbians, I thank you for your splendid service to our province. Haichka.
Thank you, Your Honor. And we have been thrilled to have her attend the previous two award ceremonies in person, but again this year, we are pleased to welcome the Commissioner of Yukon Territory, the Honorable Angelique Bernard, to say hello.
Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, friends, and family members. It is my great pleasure to be with you today at the 110th Annual Honor and Rescue Awards virtual ceremony from Whitehorse, Yukon, on the traditional territory of the Kwanlindon First Nation and the Town Cochin Council. J'aimerais remercier la Société de sauvetage pour le travail continu à prévenir la noyade et à réduire les incidents associés à l'eau. I would like to thank the Lifesaving Society for the ongoing work aimed at preventing drownings and reducing water-related injuries. Your work is extremely important everywhere in the world, and particularly in BC and Yukon, where we are blessed with so many wonderful lakes and rivers. Your work goes a long way to reducing the number of such tragedies. La cérémonie d'aujourd'hui est extrêmement importante car elle nous permet de célébrer l'esprit du don de soi, de souligner le dévouement des bénévoles et de reconnaître officiellement les efforts des récipiendaires. This annual ceremony is an extremely important occasion. It allows us to celebrate the spirit of giving, praise the dedicated efforts of the Lifesaving Society's volunteers, and formally recognize the dedicated efforts of awards recipients. J'aimerais spécialement féliciter Scott McDowell de Whitehorse au Yukon pour son prix. En décembre dernier, j'ai eu l'honneur de lui remettre le prix pour acte de bravoure du commissaire du Yukon pour son sauvetage sur le fleuve Yukon à l'été 2021. I would especially like to congratulate Scott McDowell from Whitehorse, Yukon for his award. Last December, I had the honor of presenting Scott with the Commissioner of Yukon's Bravery Award for his rescue on the Yukon River in the summer of 2021. Félicitations encore une fois à tous et à toutes les récipiendaires d'aujourd'hui, et merci de m'avoir permis de participer à distance à la cérémonie. Congratulations again to all the award recipients today, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of this ceremony at a distance. Merci, thank you, Shanitan, Masicho, Gunalshish.
Thank you, Commissioner Bernard. Today's Rescue Awards will recognize members of the public who have made water-related rescues over the past year, often putting their own life at risk to save the life of another. The first silver medal for merit is awarded to Kenneth Brown from Ahousaht.
Tofino Harbor is a high-traffic area for both boats and float planes. Last October, one of each was involved in a serious collision. Rocky Pass, a local water taxi, was about 200 to 300 feet away from the First Street dock, carrying 4 New Channel Tribal Council nurses to work in Ahousaht when it was struck by an incoming Beaver float plane. Kenneth Brown heard the collision around 4:30 that afternoon and looked to see a terrified look on the face of water taxi skipper Chris Frank. Kenneth's boat was tied up at the First Street dock, so he jumped into action with his deckhand, quickly untying the boat as they headed out to the plane that by now was leaning to one side with one pontoon filling with water. The nose of the plane was sinking fast, with the propeller still turning, so he backed up hard and fast to head for the other side of the plane just as the wing came down and skimmed the cabin of his boat. As the plane sank into the harbor, he was able to pull 5 people into his boat, apparently a family of 4 and the pilot. One of the 5 was a young boy who was terrified. Kenneth reached out to him, saying, "You can reach me. Give me your hand. You're going to be okay." All 5 were treated and released from hospital the same day. Kenneth later said it was heart-wrenching to peel a young boy out of the plane about the same age as his own son. Kenneth is no stranger to water rescues, as he was one of the first Howsett fishermen on scene nearly 6 years ago to the day in 2015 when the Leviathan II whale-watching boat capsized after being hit by a large wave near Tofino. Kenneth helped save 11 of the 21 people rescued that day. Tofino Mayor Dan Law commented, "We're a small community with very limited resources, and folks like Kenny Brown just step up to the plate every time." The Lifesaving Society is today pleased to again present Kenneth Brown with a Silver Medal for Merit.
Congratulations, Kenneth. It sounds like he is becoming a royal lifer. And now we will recognize the heroic efforts of Ajay Kumar, Arvinjeet Singh, Gagandeep Singh, Gurpreet Singh, and Kuljinder Singh from Surrey.
It was early evening on the Thanksgiving Monday last October, with many people eager to get outdoors, when 2 young men found themselves stranded and in danger of drowning in the lower falls in Golden Ears Provincial Park near Maple Ridge. One man had slipped and fell into the pool just above the falls and was having difficulty getting out, with the second man nearby trying to help. Ajay, Arvinjeet, Gagandeep, Gurpreet, and Kuljinder were hiking along the nearby trail when approached by 2 young women asking if they had cell service to call 911. Having no cell connection in that area, they decided to head for the lower falls to see how they could help. Seeing the 2 men in distress, they quickly took off their turbans and jackets, tying them into one long rope, and used them as a rescue aid to pull the men out of the frigid water to safety. 18 members of the local search and rescue team arrived in time to greet the rescuers and victims en route to the parking lot. Team manager Rick Lang said the 2 men could have easily succumbed to hypothermia or been swept over the falls as others have in the past in that area. One of the rescuers later said, "We just did what we had to do. We saw someone who needed help, and we didn't think anything of taking the turbans off." These 5 men were in the right place at the right time that cold day in October. And for their heroic efforts and concern for others in danger, today we present them with Silver Medals for Merit.
What a great story, especially considering the cultural significance of using their turbans, a Sikh religious symbol, to make the rescue. Gurpreet added, "I'm feeling really happy. It's good for our community. I'm feeling really proud that I wear a turban." The next Silver Medal for Merit goes to Scott McDougall of the Yukon.
Scott McDougall is co-owner of Canoe People, a family-owned business that is the longest established wilderness outfitter in the Yukon, selling and renting canoes, kayaks, boats, motors, and camping equipment. While at the store last July, Scott was notified by 2 passerby that someone was drifting down the cold and swollen Yukon River. So he sprang into action, carrying a canoe to the shoreline and paddling out into the river. He was able to catch up with a man who was being quickly swept downriver. By the time Scott got close to him, he could only see the top of the man's head and an outstretched hand above the water. It was clear the man was in serious danger as he was drifting in and out of consciousness. Scott paddled hard to get alongside the man, but before reaching him, he went under the water and didn't come up. Scott thought he was gone. but focused on where he last saw him go down and continued to paddle hard. He was able to see him under the water, grabbed him, pulled him up, and got his head out of the water. Scott knew that was the defining moment, with the flood-level water running fast and needing to hold on to the man to keep his head above water. He was now paddling with one hand while hanging onto the man off the side of the canoe. He eventually made it to shore, where he was met by waiting emergency personnel who helped to pull the man out of the water, barely alive, but breathing. It was confirmed that he was in stable condition and able to make a full recovery. Scott later commented, "I'm really glad it didn't go the other way. We've got a beautiful river right beside us here in Whitehorse, but it's cold, fast-flowing, and deserves a lot of respect." He added that the rescue was a community effort and that he could not have done it without the help of others. The Lifesaving Society concurs with local RCMP Constable Carlie McCann, who said his bravery and skill were certainly wonderful. The fact that he was able to keep this person safe is really exceptional and out of the ordinary. For his extraordinary efforts to save a life that day, Scott McDougall is presented with a Silver Medal for Merit.
Congratulations, Scott. What a great representative of the Yukon. And the final silver medals for merit go to the father and son team of James and Emmett Moore from Revelstoke.
James Moore and 11-year-old Emmett were out in their canoe for a father and son day of fishing on the last day of summer before Emmett returned to school. They were on glacier-fed Griffin Lake near Revelstoke enjoying the day when they saw another canoe capsize, throwing 2 men into the cold lake water. They tried to right their canoe but were unsuccessful and began to yell for help. James and Emmett headed for the men who were not wearing life jackets and appeared to be non-swimmers. The contents of their canoe were scattered in the water around them, including their life jackets. As the father and son approached the now exhausted men, James gave them clear direction not to grab onto his canoe for fear of also capsizing them. Instead, he got their life jackets to them, and Emmett leaned over the front of the canoe to assist the men in getting their life jackets partially on, enough to keep them afloat. James now directed the men to hold on to their capsized canoe as Emmett handed them a rope that he held on to as his dad paddled for 20 minutes to travel the 500 meters to shore. Once out of the water, the men took a much-needed rest as they were exhausted and cold. Emmett assisted the men to right their canoe and drain the water out of it, while James paddled back out to recover their scattered belongings. Now with their life jackets on, the men got back in their canoe as James and Emmett towed them along shore to meet their relieved and thankful spouses back at the dock of the resort they were staying at. Being a local RCMP corporal working in forensics, James had previously experienced other situations at Griffin Lake that did not turn out as positively. Recognizing that 2 lives were saved from drowning that day, the Lifesaving Society is proud to present Emmett and James Moore with Silver Medals for Merit.
Amazing. And James later noted that in addition to helping him in the rescue, if it wasn't for his son Emmett wanting to go fishing that day, they would not have been there to save a life. Our next group of rescue awards are Silver Medals for Bravery, awarded to acknowledge rescues involving significant acts of bravery. Our first recipient is Keenan Bush from Tofino.
Last summer, a family was vacationing on the west coast of Vancouver Island, and as part of the Tofino experience, one of the men decided to try surfing on the popular Chesterman Beach. Not being a swimmer, he started out having fun in the shallow water near the beach where he could touch bottom. However, within seconds, the fun quickly turned to fear as he was swept out to deeper water in a strong riptide and could no longer touch bottom. He tired as he struggled to keep his head above water. Fortunately, an experienced local surfer, Keenan Bush, heard frantic yelling from other members of the group on shore and looked over to see the man being swept away from shore on his board. Keenan paddled as fast as he could toward the north end of the beach, about 400 meters away. As he approached the man, he could see him desperately kicking and splashing in the water, but directly against the force of the current, not the correct way to deal with a riptide. Keenan reached the man and began to calm him down while encouraging him to stop paddling and focus on lying flat on his board so Keenan could push him forward in the direction of the beach. Suddenly, the man lost his balance, slipping off the board, face first into the water. He came up sputtering and coughing, now going in and out of consciousness. Keenan grabbed him by the chest of his wetsuit and struggled to haul the bigger man's upper body back onto his board, leaving his legs dragging in the water. In looking back to shore, Keenan could see they were now about 100 meters away from being pushed further out by the strong riptide. Although a risky option, heading for a rocky point in the distance seemed to be the best decision. Just then, another experienced surfer, Holly Wu, had seen them in distress and had paddled out to assist. They were both able to get the man out of the water and on top of the larger, more stable surfboard to paddle through big waves. At one point, a very large wave hit and knocked both Keenan and the man into the water. After much effort, they finally got him to the beach where they were met by members of his family, who assisted in getting him out of the water and onto the sand. He was unconscious and not breathing. So after directing a family member to call 911, Keenan began CPR with the assistance of another family member until the man was eventually revived, coughing up water, blood, and vomit as he regained consciousness. First responders arrived on scene to treat the man and take him to hospital where he was treated and released the next day. He is forever grateful for the actions of Keenan and Holly, and later said, "I was within a couple seconds of dying. They gave me a second chance at life." For helping to ensure that a holiday in Tofino did not end in tragedy that day, Keenan Bush is awarded a silver medal for bravery. Holly Wu currently lives in Alberta, and her commendation will be sent to that branch of the Lifesaving Society for presentation there. In addition to his silver medal for bravery, Keenan also receives the M.G. Griffiths Award, presented to rescuers who applied skill and knowledge gained through Lifesaving Society programs to aid a victim of an aquatic emergency. Keenan said, "I'm grateful for my experience and skills learned as a teenager in the Bronze Star, Bronze Medallion, and Bronze Cross lifesaving courses I took at North Vancouver Recreation Centers. Even after 14 years, the valuable knowledge and life-saving skills that I learned in those courses stays fresh in my mind and helped immensely during this rescue to keep me safe while helping to save someone else's life."
What an incredible story. And now, just like James and Emmett Moore of Revelstoke, we have a family affair as we present Silver Medal for Bravery to Adam and Matthew Carter of Coquitlam.
On an August Sunday afternoon last year, Paul Carter, his wife, and 3 sons were enjoying an afternoon at the beach in Haywire Bay Regional Park near Powell River, along with another couple and their 2 sons. At one point during the afternoon, all 5 boys decided to swim across to a small island 100 meters offshore to explore, accompanied by Paul's friend Tony. Shortly after they arrived at the island with what appeared to be considerable ease, Paul decided he would join them. Without letting them know he was coming over, he dove into the water and swam out far too energetically, apparently forgetting that he was 50 years old, not 20. At about the 40-meter mark, he stopped swimming to catch his breath. After treading water for a minute, he felt tired and, thinking he should get to the other side as quickly as possible, continued to swim. Another 10 more meters into the swim, he stopped again, exhausted and unsure whether he should continue on or turn around and go back. While looking back and forth, trying to decide which way to go, a wave hit him in the face, causing him to breathe in what felt like a lungful of water, triggering violent coughing, which accelerated his fatigue. Able to take in only short breaths of air and quickly losing energy in his arms and legs, he started to panic and quickly realized he was not going to be able to make it to safety, now struggling to keep his head above water. At this point, some of the group on the island noticed Paul was trying to make his way to them, and he managed to yell, "Adam!" Tony's first thought was that Paul was joking around because he wasn't thrashing about. But having completed his lifeguard training just a month prior, Paul's son Adam quickly recognized his dad was in distress. He immediately dove into the water and swam the 50 meters to where Paul, in full instinctive drowning response, was unable to talk and barely able to move. Despite having just sprinted 50 meters, Adam supported his dad's back to elevate him out of the water, with Paul now struggling to breathe. Adam calmly told his dad it was going to be okay and asked him to kick his feet to help propel him toward shore. By this time, Paul's two other sons, 13-year-old Matthew and 11-year-old Daniel, had followed Adam into the water and were swimming a few meters behind. All three boys are experienced competitive swimmers, so were confident and strong in the water. With about 20 meters to go, Adam was tiring and recruited Matthew to assist by having him swim to the right side and putting his dad's arm around his shoulders. Adam and Matthew then towed Paul the remaining distance to shore, with Daniel close behind in case he was needed. As a precaution, Paul and Adam headed for the Powell River Hospital to get checked out and were released a short time later. Paul later commented, "I can say without hesitation that Adam and Matthew saved my life. Had they not jumped in the water to save me, there is no way I would have been able to make it 5 meters before going under, never mind 50. I am so very thankful for their bravery and quick action." For their heroic actions in saving their dad's life that day, Adam and Matthew Carter are presented with silver medals for bravery. In addition, Adam receives the M.G. Griffiths Award for having learned his skills through participation in Lifesaving Society programs.
There is no competition in the Carter family for who's dad's favorite. All of them. Next, we have a group of 3 award recipients, Kianda Jacobson, Tara Jakubiak, and Dylan Kay from Nanaimo.
It was an early July evening last year following a great day of tubing on the Puntledge River near Courtney, when things quickly turned from fun to frantic. It was a beautiful, clear evening, so a group of friends decided to head to the river next to their campsite. Kianda Jacobson was returning from the campsite to the waterfront when Tara Jakubiak ran up to her screaming, "Cameron needs CPR, you've got to come, you've got to come." Knowing Cameron is a humorous guy, Kianda was hoping her friend was joking. But once down at the waterside, she witnessed Dylan Kay and 2 others pulling Cameron out of the water and up onto the riverbank. He was a strong swimmer and had been swimming and diving into the river, but misjudged a dive into shallow water and hit the river bottom hard, headfirst. Using her first aid knowledge, Kianda observed that Cameron was conscious but breathing rapidly and very uncomfortable. With instructions from Cameron himself, Tara held his neck in a neutral, stable position while Kianda told the 911 operator where they were and how to get there. His friends continued to comfort Cameron as he lay motionless on the riverbank. Kianda checked his pulse regularly, finding it rapid with shallow breathing. After what felt like hours but was only 15 to 20 minutes, emergency personnel arrived and after an initial assessment decided a helicopter lift was the best option. They thanked group members for taking such good care of Cameron and keeping him stable. Cameron was rushed to hospital in Vancouver but suffered life-altering paralysis due to 2 breaks in his neck. The family later encouraged everyone to get training in life-saving measures, knowing that if his friends had been less prepared to help, the result could have been fatal. His aunt, Brenda Payne, later said, "They saved his life and did everything they could to give him the best chance at recovery. I'm so proud of them." Although feeling badly that they couldn't do more for Cameron that day, this group of friends did everything right and helped save his life from drowning. They are today presented with rescue awards to recognize their life-saving efforts.
All of these rescues from the past year remind us that we are about to enter another summer of fun in and around our waterways in beautiful BC. Please consider and remember these incidents you're hearing about today and how quickly and unexpectedly they can occur to anyone, and how many of these rescuers had prior skills in training. You can make sure you and your loved ones stay safe by following the Lifesaving Society's water safety messages, as well as thinking ahead and being prepared in case something does happen. We want you all to enjoy your outdoor recreation experiences. Our next Rescue Award recipient is Rosa Curry from Victoria.
While just setting up for a late July afternoon with her family at Thetis Lake near Victoria, Rosa Curry suddenly heard cries for help coming from the water. She noticed a mother, father, and their young boy approximately 8 to 10 meters from shore, bobbing up and down on the water and grasping for air. Trained as a lifeguard in her teens, Rosa's instincts took over. After making sure her 4-month-old daughter was safe with her mother, Rosa quickly jumped into the water and swam out to the now panicking threesome. She grabbed onto them and began to tow them toward shore. Struggling to help all three at once, she submerged several times in trying to keep them above water and move them toward shore. Eventually, they reached an area in the water near a ledge. Despite shouts of encouragement from others on shore, she was finding it difficult to get them over the ledge, so she summoned help from others nearby. 2 women formed a human chain using a nearby railing as an anchor and were able to reach Rosa and the 3 victims still in the water. She was able to grab the father's arm and link to the chain, allowing all 3 to be pulled safely onto the beach. A number of others on shore helped to check vitals and comfort the family, while another called 911. After catching his breath, the father thanked Rosa for her life-saving actions. Rosa recalled, "I wanted to get them before they slipped underwater and it was too late. While I was struggling to help them, I thought about my young daughter and how I couldn't let anything happen to me." Since the incident, Rosa has encouraged local authorities to consider initiating lifeguard services on the Thetis Lake beach, or at least adding signage in multiple languages to warn about hazards, including the sudden drop-off that put the family in great danger that day. To recognize her heroic efforts in saving a family of 3, Rosa Curry is presented with a silver medal for bravery. In addition, she receives an M.G. Griffiths Award to acknowledge her wise move 20 years ago to take lifeguard training from the Lifesaving Society in Saskatchewan.
The next silver medal for bravery goes to Christopher Morris.
Christopher Morris was driving towards Merritt on a late September afternoon when he witnessed the car in front of him lose control. He watched as it crossed through the oncoming lane, veered off a cement barrier, and landed in the Nicola River between a bridge and the Nicola Dam further downstream. Christopher quickly pulled his vehicle over and headed for the water. Although fully clothed and with boots on, he swam out to the vehicle, which was still floating. The water was deep enough that the vehicle was now submerging as Christopher swam the 5 meters from the riverbank to the vehicle in the slow-moving current of the river. He tried to open the passenger side door, but it would not open, so he moved to the driver's side door. Noticing that the window had been broken on impact, he encountered a woman in her 60s in distress, but conscious. After releasing her seatbelt, he was able to grab her arms and pull her through the window. He assisted her to the nearby riverbank as the vehicle sank under the water. While Christopher comforted her, another passerby called emergency services, who arrived to treat the woman and transport her to hospital to be checked out for minor injuries. Local RCMP thanked Christopher as a good Samaritan, saying without his assistance, the outcome of this incident would have been drastically different. For his quick actions to save a stranger from drowning, Christopher Morris today receives a silver medal for bravery.
And now we are pleased to honor Carrie Parish of Lake Country with a silver medal for bravery.
Last July, Carrie Parish was enjoying a warm, sunny day with her family at Pebble Beach on Okanagan Lake when she heard people yelling on the beach. The commotion drew her attention out onto the lake, where she could see arms flailing just above the surface of the water. A woman had fallen off her inflatable about 15 meters from shore. It was being blown away from her by the wind, and she was struggling to stay afloat. Carrie immediately grabbed her paddleboard and quickly paddled out to the woman who was now underwater. Once able to secure a hold on her, Carrie pulled the woman onto her board and brought her safely back to shore. Still disoriented and exhausted, the woman was greeted by her family, who were incredibly grateful for Carrie's quick thinking and heroic actions. As an off-duty RCMP constable, Carrie knows how to react in an emergency, and later said, "I knew something was wrong and I had to act quickly. I feel blessed to have been in the right place and time with the right equipment that allowed me to help." The Lifesaving Society is also very pleased that she was there that day to save a life from drowning. And for that, we honor Constable Carrie Parish with a silver medal for bravery.
And our final silver medal for bravery goes to Sally Wallach from Kelowna.
Sally Wallach is a Kelowna music teacher who also happens to be a competitive kayaker and keeps in shape by paddling on Okanagan Lake whenever she has the opportunity. Late last April, she was out for a paddle and recording her travels when she noticed a man in the water next to his capsized kayak about 2 kilometers from shore. As she approached him, she could see that his lips were turning purple and his speech was incoherent. Hypothermia had certainly begun to have its effect on him, having been in the water for about 45 minutes by now. Sally calmly directed the man to let go of his kayak and grab onto hers so she could pull him back to safety, assuring him that it could be recovered later. Before making their way to shore, Sally made a phone call to arrange to be met once on shore. As they began to paddle to safety, Sally encouraged the man to kick his feet to assist in propelling them toward shore. She soon noticed the man's eyes closing as he appeared to be going in and out of consciousness, and she was concerned that he would lose the grip on her kayak. As she asked him to lie across her surf ski, his actions flipped the boat, submerging them both underwater. Sally calmly began to try to tow him and the boat toward safety. Just then, a nearby pontoon boat operator saw the two of them in the water. Sally flagged him down and they were able to approach, pick up the man in distress, and quickly take him to shore as Sally paddled her way back. The man was met by emergency personnel who transported him to hospital for treatment for hypothermia. For having been in the right place at the right time to save a life, Sally Wallach is today awarded with a silver medal for bravery.
Our final rescue award today is the Governor's Gold Award, chosen by the branch governor for the most heroic rescue of the year. You heard the story earlier of the resourcefulness of 5 men using their turbines to perform a dramatic rescue near a waterfall in Golden Ears Park. This year's recipients of the Governor's Gold Medal for Bravery are Ajay Kumar, Arpanjit Singh, Gagandeep Singh, Gurpreet Singh, and Kuljinder Singh. Congratulations to all of you. And our hearty congratulations go to all of today's recipients of both Honor and Rescue Awards. They have all helped to support the Lifesaving Society's goal of drowning prevention. There were less than 50 drownings in BC and Yukon last year, which is lower than average, but we are working towards 0. We thank our rescuers today for their bravery in keeping that number lower and congratulate all our award recipients today. I would like to thank our narrator, Scott Riley, for his assistance today, as well as acknowledging the work of our audiovisual team of Dave Page, Liam Montgomery, and Catherine Grant of Leading Edge Audiovisual. And many thanks also to a few dedicated volunteers who helped make this award ceremony happen. Ron Aubrey is our Honor Awards Chair, and Lori-Ann Drew is our Rescue Awards Chair, who does the research and convinces often reluctant rescuers that they are deserving of their reward. To get more information about the Lifesaving Society and water safety, go to lifesaving.bc.ca. Thank you for being here today, and please stay safe around the water.